Hey everyone, I'm here from Santa Barbara, California, recording today. I'm actually cat sitting for my daughter, Christina, and I've never been really a cat person. I'm going to tell you a little bit about that, but let me tell you what the episode's about first before I get into that. Today's going to be about manifesting and how do you really manifest? Because I want you to be able to do this. It's just another superpower that you can have. But before I do that, I want to talk about this cat. So my daughter just got a brand new cat, a kitty from the animal shelter that they rescued. She's had a cat for about 15 years. It's a big fat cat, and for whatever reason, she called her Michelle Obama, Michelle for short. But Michelle is like the queen. She is in charge of everything. And she just sits there and Christina and her husband, Jacob, I think they just serve her. And I don't know what got into them that they decided they were going to go get a kitty. But they got one. And it is the most fun cat I've ever experienced. They named him Pablo Picasso. And it's like half tabby, half something that's white. It's really a beautiful little kitty. And he cannot be near Michelle Obama. So we have to, part of the reason I'm here is to keep them apart. So Christina has this door between sort of the back place and then the front place of the house that they're staying here in Santa Barbara. And that cat is so fast. It tries to sprint in every single time that door opens. Yesterday, it unrolled all the toilet paper, like a whole roll of it. Somehow we went out and came back, and the whole roll was all over the floor. But he comes up to you. He crawls all over you. He's like a dog, and he's so funny. He's got this curiosity about everything. And it started reminding me about just we can learn lessons from animals, can't we? In fact, we could probably learn to manifest from animals. He was probably sitting in that shelter going like, hey, this ain't a cool place to be. I want to live somewhere where it's fun. They got cool stuff to do where I could run around. They feed me well, and it's great weather. And then Christina and Jacob showed up and adopted little Pablo Picasso. So much fun. But anyway, I want to talk about manifesting because something manifested yesterday for me that just reminded me of the power of all the tools that I've been accumulating over years and that I hope that you are too. And perhaps my story or some of the ways that I got to this place might be good for you, might inspire you, might lead to another path for you to get what you want out of life, because you should get what you want out of life as long as you feel worthy, deserving, more than enough, loving, lovable, loved. That's one of the things I talk about in hypnosis when I hypnotize people. Find that most people actually need that more and more and more, and all the time. Because even as my mentor, Tony Robbins, said, even he, and I think he's like the most confident person in the world, he has times when he's feeling unworthy or undeserving, unlovable, and we all do. We all do. And it's a key part of manifesting is to have this belief that you deserve it, that you're worthy. And so that's kind of a big part of hypnosis, or any other strategy you might have, because there's a lot of strategies. Anyway, let me get to my story. So my daughter, Christina, with a K, because we're Hungarian, her birthday was June 14th. And I was staying here in California, so I drove up here to take her for lunch, just the two of us. And then I was going to take her and her new husband. They got married on May 23rd by eloping. And I was going to take them for dinner. So I took Christina for lunch. And then afterwards, we decided to go look at different wedding reception venues because they had eloped and not very many people knew they got married. In fact, I was sitting at Panera Bread in Florida eating a sandwich and just kind of scrolling through Facebook, and came upon her husband's post that had a picture of the two of them walking out of the Santa Barbara courthouse. And it said, "Looks like things are getting serious." And so I quickly called Christina. It took her 2 hours before she called back. I said, "Christina, did you get married?" She said, "Dad, yeah, I did. Don't be mad." Of course, I wasn't. I was really happy for them. We really like Jacob. He's a cool dude. But anyway, we decided we're going to go look in the afternoon for wedding receptions places. Santa Barbara is like an amazing town. So we first went downtown and looked at the old Arlington Theater, and they have a back place with a beautiful courtyard, and it looked like they could accommodate what she was thinking. And so that became a kind of the leading contender right from the start. And then we went across the street to another place. Can't remember the name of it. Kind of a small restaurant, but they use for catering and events, and didn't like that so well. Then we went down kind of the ocean and looked at a couple of the hotel properties there to see their ballrooms. And, they were okay, but they didn't do anything for Christina. And she was thinking that the Arlington's it. And we're on the phone kind of Googling the best places to have a wedding or wedding reception. And we came upon the Santa Barbara Zoo. So we went over to the zoo. It's a cute little zoo. I remember taking our kids there when they were young, when we lived in Thousand Oaks or Camarillo, and they got a little train that goes around. It's really a cute little place, and it's very close to the beach and the ocean. And they have this hill where they do receptions, but she didn't really like that. And so she said, it's going to be the Arlington. But as we're driving back up, I think it was Garden Street or maybe it was Straight Street, one of those streets, there was one other place that I kind of wanted to look at. It looked interesting on the pictures, and it's called El Zapato. And I knocked on the door. No one was there, but there was a landscape guy outside. And we just said, "Hey, could we take a look in here in the courtyard?" And he goes, "Oh, yeah, sure." So we walked in there, and it was perfect. It was beautiful. It was magical. And Christine and I looked at each other, and we go, "Kati." That was my mom. She was a very artistic, colorful, introverted person that made our house always look beautiful, but just wild colors. And that's how this place, the El Zapato, was designed. It's some famous Santa Barbara architect that he's done this with 8 homes here in the downtown area. It's very whimsical, colorful. It's like the Alice in a Wonderland kind of place. And Christina said, "This is it." And it was like we were trying to manifest the perfect place to have this wedding reception with full of color. Those that know me know that I like color. Today's purple. And I'm just into color. And it's because of the influence of my mom. We get influenced by our parents all the time, don't we? But anyway, we got that place. And really excited about it. It did take like a few weeks to kind of get the right date and all those things, but all the details came into play. And now we're having a wedding reception there on October 21st. So it's going to be cool. But after we found that place, we went and got a birthday present for her, which she enjoyed. And then she wanted to take a little rest before dinner. And so I had some free time and decided to look at various properties in the Santa Barbara area. A few months before, Christina actually told me on my way through California and visiting her, because I've been traveling quite a bit during these last few years, kind of post-Pepperdine. And she said, "Dad, Jacob and I are pretty serious." So this was before she got married. "And one day we might have a baby." And she said, "And I can't take care of a baby by myself. So I want you to have a kind of like a home base somewhere near me." And I felt so good about that. I go, "Oh, yeah, she wants me to be near her to help take care of a grandbaby." I thought that'd be so cool. No, this actually happened a couple years ago, I guess, now that I'm remembering, because I came up here and looked at a place in Santa Barbara and actually found a place that I wanted to rent and started telling her about her. And I could see on her face, she goes, I don't know about that. I did. And I said, what, Christina? She goes, well, I wanted you close, but not that close. And I go, oh, that's kind of a bummer, but okay, because I really like Malibu and I was enjoying that. Um, but anyway, now fast forward to June 14th, her birthday. So I remembered that. So I said, oh, during this time, I'll go take a look at some properties. And so I got on Zillow, and I want to be near the beach. I'm a beach guy. I love to see the ocean, love the water. Even though here in California, the water is like way too cold for me, I like just looking at it and running by it. And so I looked on Zillow. It's crazy here in Santa Barbara. I thought Malibu was expensive. I thought Naples was expensive. Santa Barbara is also expensive. I don't know why I picked these cities, but, sometimes you're led to these places for some reason. I found a 456 square foot house. They call it a house. Like 456 square foot. That's like barely bigger than this room I'm in. And they called it a house. And the asking price was $4.5 million. And I thought, oh no, I can't live near Christina. This is crazy. But I wanted to see what you get for $4.5 million. So I just drove over there because remember, I had just time to kill. So I drove over to an area called the Mesa. And I found this house, and literally it is a shack. It is a wooden shack, but it is on a cliff overlooking the ocean. So I'm sure someone's going to buy it, knock it down, and build something bigger, better, newer, cooler on that cliff. But $4.5 million, I can't afford that. That's like really a lot of money. And so I was kind of really bummed about that. But then I was just drove in that neighborhood, and I drove down a street. It was kind of narrow, so I went down all the way to the end to a cul-de-sac to turn around to come back. And at the end of the cul-de-sac, there was a one of those real estate posts with the plastic I don't call what you call it, container box where they had flyers for a real estate property. So I said, what the heck? I stopped the cars right in front of it. I got the flyer out, and it was a lot. It wasn't a house, so it wasn't $4.5 million. It was a lot cheaper. In fact, it was quite a bit cheaper. And I go, this is it. I walked down to where the lot is. It's there's narrow road by 3, 4, 5, 6 other homes. And I came to this flat piece of land. It's pretty small, but it's on a cliff overlooking the ocean with a path down to the beach. And it's literally the most beautiful place I've ever seen. And I thought to myself, this is it. And as one of those times in your life where you just know that this is it. You get if you ask your inner being or your truth or self or universe or God, your little God within you, your Holy Spirit, and your intuition, it says, this is it. And that's what I felt. And I got so excited about it. I sent a text and then an email and then called the realtor to ask him about it, but I didn't get any response. Meantime, I went back to have dinner with Christina and Jacob. And I'm telling them about this. I said, I found the perfect place, Christina. And so she said, oh, yeah, that sounds good, Dad. How come they're not calling you back? I said, I don't know. So I Googled just the property. And I found it. And then I was like heartbroken because it looked like someone had bought it 5 days before I got there. And I thought to myself, how could this be? This is this is like meant to be. It's mine. I've already designed this home. I'm going to live here. Christina's going to have her kid or kids, maybe one day, maybe. And they're going to come over there and have the most beautiful little playground to play. But it was sold 5 days earlier. And it's one of those times, and this happens to me a lot, where I just can't believe that something that I thought of, my vision, my manifested dream didn't come true. And every time it happens, it's kind of like surprised me. Like when I went to Pepperdine, I thought for sure within 5 years I'd win several national championships. And it didn't it didn't happen. And that was a surprise to me. Anyway, I was bummed. But I went to sleep and kind of tossing and turning, thinking about this house, dreaming about it, designing it, and just going like, how did that happen? It's meant to be. But I woke up the next morning and I got a call. And the call was from the realtor. And I told him I found this property and that I Googled it, looked like it sold. And he goes, yeah, but I got to tell you, I think at best it's 50-50 whether these folks actually go through with the purchase. And I think he told me that they actually had an offer on another place, and the wife was a realtor, and he just didn't have a good sense that they were going to do it. And I said, well, okay, I'd like to take a look at it. So he said, let's look at it at noon. And so Christina and Jacob came over, and my son Tom and their mom Jan were flying in for a housewarming birthday party for Christina. And they came over, and my good friend Pete Dolan, the former UCSB track and field and cross country coach, he was with me. He came over. We all went to look at it, meet the realtor there. And everyone, when they walked on this property, said, this is you. This is meant to be. And I go, yeah, but someone else has bought it. And but everyone, I think, felt the same thing as I felt. And so talking with the realtor, he said, why don't we put in a backup offer on this? Because, again, I think it's 50-50 chance whether it really goes through. And he said, they're in the due diligence period because this property, the reason it's here, it's like the only vacant lot in Santa Barbara on the cliff. Someone has been trying to permit and build on it since 1958. That's 65 years. It's a long time. And he told me a little bit about the history, lawsuits, people don't want to have someone build there and block their view, and this narrow pathway and all sorts of obstacles along the way, which led him to believe that whoever was in first position to buy this, good chance that they weren't. But as he's talking about it, I started getting more and more excited. And I don't know if any of you knew me back when I lived in Malibu, but I bought a lot in Malibu when I first moved there, when I first got the head coaching job at Pepperdine, coaching men's and women's track and field and cross country. And I bought a lot there with a beautiful ocean view and started the permitting process and ran into a guy that was upstream of my lot that had been enjoying his ocean view for 40 years, that as soon as I built a house, even though it was going to be a one-story house, would eliminate his ocean view. And he was an environmental lawyer or some kind of, guy, but he was really into the zoning and permitting and everything. And he fought like the dickens to prevent at every step this permit. 11 years into it, started with like 1,100 permit conditions, got it down to 5 before I finally decided I didn't want to live there any longer. I had decided that I didn't want to be Pepperdine. It was going to be my dream house where we built this nice home, and I was going to be able to host recruits there, had fundraising events there. It was like the perfect setup, because I was planning on being there till I was 84 years old, 85. The previous coach, Coach K, the real Coach K, Coach Campman, he He was 84 years old when he finally retired. He'd been coaching track and field for 60 years. I mean, can you imagine that? So I told recruits, if Coach K made it to 84, I'm going to make it to 85. So I had many more years to go. But circumstances led me in a different direction. And it's been actually a really wonderful life since Pepperdine. Life couldn't be much better, yet it gets better every day. Every day is the best day ever again. That's one of my slogans, sayings, and philosophies in life. But anyway, I had a lot of experience, at least 11 years worth of experience, trying to work through the permitting process in Malibu. And now I'm presented with this new challenge. 65 years someone's been trying to permit this beautiful, beautiful property in Santa Barbara. And I was in second position. So someone else was buying it. And they had like 45 more days to go on this due diligence. Yet I knew that it was mine. And even the name of the street, and a friend pointed this out to me later when they asked me, what's the name of the street? And it's El Camino de la Luz, which their interpretation, what's the right word? I guess I gotta go with interpretation because I don't remember the right word. Translation, that's what it is. Because a lot of things around here are Spanish and have Spanish names. So that means path of the light. You talk about knowing that this is your place. My lot that I don't own because I'm in second position is on a street called Path of the Light. So it was just another sort of Celestine prophecy kind of moment where I go, it's happening. I'm seeing this message. It is mine. I've got to manifest this somehow. I'm going to make it happen. So put in that backup offer. And I was ready to offer like the asking price, which was way lower than what it should be selling for. That's because it's been 65 years in the permitting and no one knows whether you can really build there or not. And he talked me into offering quite a bit less. And I go, okay. And we did. And so those 45 days were excruciating waiting because the more I thought about it, the more I came up here and sat on the property, and my son and I walked down to the beach on the path, and I just was in it. I was manifesting without even knowing it. I was already visualizing myself being there, living there, designing, permitting, everything. I was there. And then I went off to the Abraham Hicks cruise. And I think the second day on the cruise was the 45-day mark. So I'm eagerly waiting for the realtor to tell me that it's mine, because it is, right? And on the first day, he said, yeah, they've got till midnight. I go, okay. So midnight is 8 a.m. in Italy or the Mediterranean, wherever we were at that time. And I'm just waiting. And finally, I got the text message. The other buyer backed out. Do you want it? And I said, yes. So they sent me all the DocuSign forms. I signed everything. I know it's probably not smart. I didn't read hardly anything. I just saw the price that we had offered and that I had a 30-day due diligence period. And I'm sitting there going like, I'm gone 22 days. I've got like 7-8 days of due diligence when I get back. That's it. But I didn't really care because I knew it was mine. It was the street or the path of the light. And I'm trying to be light, radiant light, vibrating light, colorful light. Just be the light in the world, right? And so that happened. And then I went on my Neurochange Solutions event in Turkey and Greece. And I met this beautiful couple from Ireland, Jeff and Karen. And they're friends with my business manager, Sandra. And they're very spiritual. They're very in tune. They're like on this whole cruise, everyone's really spiritual. I'm just like a normal dude. I don't hear things. I don't see things. Look, maybe I do feel things. I don't know. But, there's channelers, there's psychics, there's feelers, there's clairaudience, there's clear, all those other things, whatever they are. And Jeff said he wanted to come out to California. They were actually gifting or taking her daughter and boyfriend to New York for her 18th birthday. And I said, come to California. Sandra said, come to California. And they asked the daughter, she goes, California sounds better than New York. I agree, 100%. For my New York friends, California's way cooler. Now, there's some cool things part of New York now. That's another story, how I ended up in New York at Richard and Sandra's Harmon's wedding. And when I vowed never to be in New York because of the dreaded Yankees, because I was a Boston Red Sox fan my whole life. And I couldn't imagine going to New York. But I did for the wedding. And then I found some really cool stuff. Anyway, back to my story. I was in first position now. And while I was out on my travels, I reached out to some friends here in Santa Barbara, searching for someone that could help start this due diligence. And one of my friends, Rebecca, recommended an architect, permit guy here in Santa Barbara, Peter Hunt. I contacted him. I hired him from the ship. And he started working, started reading through the documents. Oh, forgot that part. There are 700 documents associated with this property, from the EIR, the Environmental Impact Report, to renderings, to lot lines, to every lawsuits that's been filed, and all these documents. I read a bunch of them, but 700 documents is a lot of documents. I'm going on faith. I'm going on, I believe this is my property. And so he started working, and then, eventually my trips ended, and I flew back to Santa Barbara and met with him and went out to the lot, and it's just so amazing. And then I had this idea that, okay, all these neighbors are angry at the previous owner, that present owner. I'm going to have a different strategy, more aligned with who I am. So I put together a letter just introducing myself and saying that I'd like to meet with each of the neighbors and talk about this, because I'm in my due diligence phase. I got to find out if this is going to be a good neighborhood, if I'm going to be able to actually build here. And I eventually did meet with 3 of the neighbors. The rest of them are out of town. They're traveling. They don't really live here, but 3 of them here. And such beautiful people. I have now 1, 2, 3, 4 new best friends in Santa Barbara. And I don't know if they're going to oppose me in this permitting process. I hope not, because I want to be good friends with them. I want to invite them over and have a barbecue on the deck and just be part of the neighborhood and be very loving. And so I'm going to design a home that meets or addresses their objections from the past. So that's been my strategy. Met with the city planning people, met with someone from the California Coastal Commission, met with a permit expediter, started to put together this team, and then I had to decide. I had to decide on, now a couple of weeks ago, whether I'm going to go through with it. My 7-day due diligence period. And my new friends from Ireland, I forgot that part of that. Jeff came out and he went to the land and he did 2 hours of communicating to the land, clearing any bad karma or skeletons or whatever they do. But he felt the land and felt like it was a good thing, and I should be there. I am the right person, the chosen one to develop this in a harmonious way with the environment, and that the land will be happy. And I'm in this place now where I'm believing a lot of these things that people are experiencing, feeling, hearing, seeing that I don't yet. But it's kind of cool. I'm learning, to let go of that analytical engineering mind that I had for most of my life, and just I'm finding that the more I learn, the more I know. I don't know, because stuff just keeps happening, magic keeps happening, manifesting keeps happening, and it's not by my old techniques. It's not by what I'll call the law of assertion, which is to create a vision and goals and affirmations or incantations, or I call them raditudes. Rather, it's really about seeing, feeling, thinking as if you've already had something. It's really the law of attraction, and then vibrating so high and eliminating all resistance that just magic happens for you. I'll talk some more about this as I kind of conclude my story. So anyway, I signed the papers, and then I had to go figure out how am I going to pay for this thing. So that took a little bit, but I'm happy to announce, I did just yesterday, that as of yesterday, I am the proud owner of this property on the path of the light, on this beautiful small piece of land with a path down to the ocean where I can see the sunrise and the sunset from my little piece of land. I'm excited about it. That happened yesterday, and now I'm working to put together and expand my team of people to be able to get a permit, because that's going to be the real challenge, and then the construction. So 65 years is the past. The future is going to happen a lot quicker, right? Right. Because I manifested this. Now let's talk about manifesting and that process of manifesting and what I'd suggest to you. Because we all want to have the life that we want. We want to have the things we want. We want to have the feelings that we want. And really, everything's driven by feelings, right? Because it's actually the feeling you get. The feeling I get from standing on that piece of property is a feeling of peace, joy, tranquility. It's a feeling of serenity, love, ecstasy, all these wonderful high vibrational feelings I feel on this property. It's one of the reasons, it's one of the biggest reasons, maybe the only reason, not really. I want to be close to future grandson or granddaughter. So I think I mentioned in a previous episode that one of my first personal development programs that I was exposed to was something called Investment in Excellence. It was created by a guy named Lou Tice, who worked with the Seattle Seahawks when they won the Super Bowl. But he's got a process, a visualization process, but it's mostly based on affirmations. That's where I first learned the word affirmation. But he's got the coolest affirmation ever. If I'm going to do affirmations, it's the kind of affirmation I would do for myself or for you, to recommend for you. And it's not like I am bold or I own this lot, I feel great. It is a 3-part affirmation. So it's important to get all 3 pieces of this. And so I'm going to demonstrate it for you by using my house example. Because it is because I've done something, so there's an action. I have created this, or this has happened, a result. And that makes me feel. And you need to have all 3 things. So, as an example would be maybe, because of my desire to live in Santa Barbara, near my daughter Christina, because she's asked me to do that, I have purchased and built a beautiful small home on a cliff overlooking the ocean, and that makes me feel joy and happiness, peace, serenity, tranquility, love, ecstasy, bliss, Don't have to use all those, but that's an example. So because I've done something, and I'd have like several affirmations out because I check Zillow regularly looking for properties that might work for me. Because I am curious about properties I might find, I'll drive around to take a look at it. Because I came to Santa Barbara to look around for properties. Because my daughter asked me to live near her and I thought it was a good idea. Because I'm a creative guy and know real estate, because I have contacts in Santa Barbara that maybe can help me find a property. So kind of action, because I have done something. Then the result, I have found the property, I permitted the property, I built the property, I am sitting in my hot tub on this little hidden piece of the property too, because it's like an acre and a half. It goes all the way down to the beach. I own all the way down to the beach. You can't own the beach in California, but I own all the way down to it. And there's this smaller pad about 20 feet down. I don't know if I could permit it, but it looks like a great place for a hot tub or an artist. We're going to call it shed because shed doesn't include or count in the square footage that you're limited by. Or maybe it'll be a spa place where I'll put in like a cold plunge and a sauna and a steam bath. I don't know. I've got all sorts of ideas. Or just put my master bedroom there because that's what I'd really like to do. I'm not sure I could permit that. Anyway, we're going to get creative about it. But the result is this home that I've been visualizing for quite a while. Fact, it's one of my bucket list items that I haven't done in life. I've wanted to design and build my own property on a lot that I bought. And I thought I was going to do it in Malibu. It didn't work out. Now I believe that it's going to happen in Santa Barbara, and it is, and it has, and it's done. You know, that's kind of part of the manifesting, is the belief that it is done. So, and then the feelings part is huge because we're driven by feelings. So your feelings drive your action. So you don't really want more money. You want the feeling that you get from money, or the feeling that you get from the things that you buy with money, or the feelings that you get when you get in a new relationship or you have a partner. You want the feelings of love. We're driven by feelings. So it's important that you take action. You think about the actions that you can take and see them as if you've already taken them. Then you get the result and see that as if you've already gotten that result. And then you got to feel that feeling. So that's that 3-part investment in excellence affirmation process that I love. I've used most of my life. I probably continue to use it. But if you're just starting out on your manifesting process, I would use this. I would adopt this. Back when I was a 25-year-old engineer, and we had this class. It was a 6-day class. We wrote out each affirmation on a little 3x5 card. And I remember that I did 57 of them. And I had no business writing some of the goals, the affirmations that I did. But as of just a few years ago, I had completed every single one of those 57, including the really hairy one when I'm a 25-year-old engineer working for Exxon, and I wrote an affirmation that said something like, because of my love and passion for track and field and running, I am the head coach of a Division I university in the United States. And that makes me feel proud and like I've actually accomplished something great in life. And I became the head coach of Pepperdine University, men's and women's cross country and track and field, moving from an engineer, a chemical engineer, to the head coaching position at a Division I track and field program. And I 100% believe it's because of investment in excellence, that 3-part affirmation process, because I wrote it when I was 25 years old. So that's something for you to consider because I think it's amazing. The next thing I'll talk about is just visualization. I've been a visualizer since I was a little kid, so it's easy for me to do. But for some people, they don't do that. And I'm reminded that research shows that 70% of our thoughts are negative. 70% of our thoughts are negative. And also research shows that 90% of our thoughts are the same thoughts we had the day before. So if you want to create something different, if you want to create a different life, a different personal reality, you've got to change your thoughts. And visualization is a beautiful way to do it. Visualize what you want out of life. I visualized having a home on a cliff in Santa Barbara to live near Christina. I visualized being the head track and field and cross country coach. Now, what I should have done is included in there. Because of my creativity and brilliant coaching, I've not only got a job, but we are the national champions. I forgot that part. I think I probably did it later, but I didn't get that. So sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you do. I mostly feel like a nut, and rarely do I not. But visualization process is a beautiful way to go. So daydreaming, night dreaming, thinking about what you want and not from a place of lack. So if you wish you could have that coaching position or wish you could have that lot in Santa Barbara, it doesn't work. It creates lack. That's something I learned from Abraham Hicks. You don't do it from a place of lack. And I don't think I did. I did it from a place of, I'm already there. And actually, it's a surprise to me when something doesn't happen. Like I mentioned earlier, that it just surprised me that I didn't win a national champion, multiple national championships at Pepperdine. But it's because of a belief. And I don't know how I developed this belief necessarily because it didn't really come from my parents. I don't know where it came from. But I'm here to tell you that do it. Visualize as if it's already occurred, and then just elevate your vibration to a place that it matches what you want out of life. And when that happens, your inner being, your little G God, your source, universe, truth, helps make it happen. That's what I've come to believe. Vibrate high, and you can use the law of attraction rather than the law of assertion. I think the law of assertion implies or has that element of lack in it. I want something. I need this. And the law of attraction is I already have it. I already feel peace and serenity and tranquility and freedom being on that piece of land in Santa Barbara. I'm sitting here in closer to downtown Santa Barbara in this little small place that Christina and Jacob live, but I could already feel that freedom, that love, that joy, that happiness of being on that lot. There is no lack. And so when we talk about manifestation, I think each of us are a journey. I could not have done this back when I was 25 years old. I had to start with that 3-part affirmation. Because I've done something, I've created this, or this result has happened, and it makes me feel this. And everything in between. So wherever you are on your journey of manifestation, I've given you some clues, some ideas, some stories. The key part is to keep growing, keep evolving, keep experimenting, keep bringing in new ways for you to manifest, because my process isn't going to be your process. Everyone is unique. But believe in yourself. It starts with that. Believe that you're worthy of whatever it is you want out of life. That you're deserving despite all the flaws, the mistakes you might have made in life. Because no one is perfect. No one is perfect. but you're perfect just the way you are. And I use the word flawsome. You are flawed and awesome with all your flaws. You are deserving. You are more than enough. You are loving, lovable, and loved. And that'd probably be a good thing to affirm for you, or incant for you, or raditude for you. Or come to me or anyone for hypnosis and let us put that into your subconscious if that's what you need, because that's really the first step. But after that, it's then open your eyes to the clues that life, source, universe, God is providing to you, and move in that direction. Take action. Believe in yourself. Vibrate high. So if your momentum is going up, keep doing whatever you're doing to feel good. If it's going down, change it by thinking of anything that's fun and interesting. That's the way you change. You change your vibration, is you just have a bag full of things that for you are fun and interesting that you could just think about whenever you're feeling less than high vibration. Not on the flying desk. I've got a bunch of these things that I use now, and I'm like high all the time. And I don't take drugs. I don't drink. I don't do anything. I just think about fun and interesting things. And then magic happens. I really learned this, and it was cemented from Abraham Hicks back last March. And I had heard about Abraham Hicks many years before, but I wasn't ready to hear it. You may or may not be ready to hear some of the things I'm talking about here either. But what I want you to do is just develop this mindset, growth mindset of continuous improvement, or the Japanese call it kaizen, where you're always looking to grow. You're listening to podcasts like this and others. You're reading books. You're talking to people. You're opening up your mind. You're visualizing. You're affirming. You're incanting. You're vibrating in a place aligned with what you've asked for. And you're using the law of attraction to get what you want out of life. And remember, it's the feeling that you're looking for. It's the feelings of, and these are just the ones I use, of peace, serenity, and tranquility. I kind of group them together. Of joy and happiness. I group those two together. Of freedom. Freedom feels so good. It just, even close your eyes as I'm saying these words and just feel them into your body. And you can borrow from other experiences in your life where you felt those things and just feel them into your body. And you start feeling better. Feel the feeling of love. My button right there. Loving contagiously. Feel the feelings of love. And if you don't know what that feels like, close your eyes and just think of any time you actually fell in love or felt love. Maybe a love of a parent or a child or an intimate partner or a friend, or the sunshine or a city or a sports team or a shoe, whatever it is for you. That feeling is what you're wanting to have. That's the feeling is what you're trying to ingrain into your subconscious. And that feeling helps you get a little bit more puffy, vibrate higher, and then the things you ask for in life will flow to you, and you will become a champion manifester and create the life of your dreams. I know I've been doing that, and it's working really well. So for you, some of you that have been following my journey, my story, these are the processes I use. They work, and I'm going to continue to make each and every day the best day ever again. Until next time, live with gratitude or smithitude, brownitude, whatever your word is, make up your own, because don't use mine. It needs to be custom for you. And I wish you the best of life. Living rad and loving contagiously.